Welcome to the Angels, Magic and Joy podcast. This podcast is for those who seek answers from above, guidance and magical inspiration.
Immerse yourself in the realms of magic, angels, fairies, unicorns, dragons, and so much more. I'm Kirsty Jandrell, and I'm delighted to be here with you today.
And I am Kayla Rajba.
Hello and welcome everybody. Welcome back to the Angels, Magic and Joy podcast. And today we have a beautiful special guest, Kayla Wright, who is a Somatic Practitioner, Lunar Priestess and Shadow Worker. So thank you so much for joining us today, Kayla. We're so honoured to dive into the subjects of vitality, creativity and self-expression, and exploring how these can be awoken in us through various techniques and practices. Welcome, my love. It's great to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you both for having me here. I feel like this is a very potent time to actually be having this conversation because the full moon today is in Leo, and Leo is all about vitality, courage, power, expression, play, and joy. And I just feel like very supported by the energies that are up. And I really feel the word joy in your title just stood out to me when you spoke it. And I really want to anchor that in to our conversation today, because I think there's a big pull for play and joy kind of waking up in this very serious world right now. So thank you for having me.
So welcome. You're so welcome. And yeah, it's absolutely, you know, you've really just sort of nailed in the essence really of the reason that Kate and I started this particular podcast, and the title, this is where the title came in, because we felt it was just so necessary, not even a luxury, but so necessary for us all to be able to anchor into that joy and that playful expression. So, and thank you, La Luna, for bringing in your divine timing and bringing us all together on this auspicious day. So, and you very kindly offered to begin our episode today by guiding us through a brief sound meditation. So, very excited.
Yeah, I would love to. I'm going to invite you to make sound. So if you want to make sound, please feel free. No one can hear you anyway. And also, this is an invitation to the audience too, right? We can't hear you. I really invite you to just kind of drop into your body. This isn't like a serious meditation. It's really just about clearing the energy, coming into a field together, and being curious about the conversations that are going to unfold here. So with that, you can either take a soft gaze, you can keep your eyes open, you can lay down, whatever you feel you need. And we're just going to start with coming into the breath as it is. Just noticing the places in your body that rise with your breath, and the places that fall. Continuing to breathe and notice. Allowing your exhale to become just a little bit longer than the last. Maybe even letting the body sway. Dropping down out of the mind into the shoulders, into the heart, and down into the solar plexus, the navel, into the hips. Letting the hips swirl and move, feeling your tailbone pressing against whatever it is sitting or laying on. And can you just find a place in your body where there's a lot of energy? Maybe there feels some tension or some heat. And just send the breath there. Maybe even place a hand. Really connecting with this place. Feeling how it feels. We're going to take 3 breaths together. An inhale in and then an exhale out 3 times. And on your 3rd exhale, I invite you to make a sound. It doesn't have to sound any which way, you're just making space in the body. So exhaling all the breath out and taking your first deep inhale. Exhale, release, and connect with that place. Coming into the 2nd inhale. And exhale. And when you're ready, taking your next inhale and letting out a sound as you breathe out. Keeping the eyes closed, maybe making another sound or wiggling the body. Stretching your arms out wide, letting the hips take up just a little bit more space. As you come fully into your body, into this present moment. Out of the mind, deeper in connection with you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I always love to start with some sound and body stuff because we can all just be so, what's next? What are we going to say? What are we going to do? So I really appreciate you going on that journey with me and allowing me to share it.
Thank you. That was beautiful. A beautiful way to start.
Thank you.
That was fantastic. I feel great. As was needed after all day. And my nervous system is absolutely in pleasure. And speaking of the nervous system, and Kayla, your work as a somatic healer, can you explain how you assist others in this way, and also how your life led you to it, to work with as a somatic healer, and maybe a few words. And I'm curious because of course we can read descriptions, but it just came to me, how would you in your own words describe what is somatic healing, and your journey, what led you to it?
Yeah, I think it's really important to break down what somatic healing is, because it's kind of become a buzzword in our culture, which is great because there's a lot of healing and awakening happening. For me, as a practitioner, somatic really speaks to the body and the felt expression of the body. So I really focus on being in the body, in the tissues, in the nervous system, in the feeling rather than the story. So I try to help people drop down out of I'm afraid because, and then they go into their story, and I just try to have them sit with the place in their body where they're afraid, because underneath the fear or the anger or the grief are like layers and layers of trauma that you may not even be able to put into words, but your body knows how to kind of shake it out or cry it out or release it out. Which brings me to my second point is most of my clients come to me with a lot of resistance to this work. It's not like the first place people want to go. People don't want to be in the body. They don't want to start there. They want to, just understand it all and be like, okay, I just need to journal, or I just need to do this, and then I'll be healed. And so I do find a lot of my clients come to me and they have a very beautiful understanding of how they got to where they are and what they're feeling, but they just are not having any success in actually releasing these old, very old limiting beliefs that have lived in their body for a while. So it can be a tender place and a scary place for a lot of people, because it does require us to slow down and to actually incarnate deeper into our body, instead of just conceptualizing our life and who we are and living in this safe place up here. So I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, and I love that, because we could get stuck in our thoughts, and and I've noticed that you could do years and years of therapy, and I've done different ways. For me, the main one was releasing from the body, and I don't know if you would agree. I wonder what's your opinion on that. That very often we don't even need to know what's the story behind once it's released from the body. Of course, it is a big part of it, and most of the times we do connect with our trauma, or generation trauma, or whatever comes, or karma, whatever it is. But would you agree that very often we don't even need to know what exactly it is, and through that work it actually helps us to release, to evolve, without even going so deep. And you can go even for months with one story, which is with body work and with somatic healing. You could access that maybe perhaps faster, maybe more efficient than from the headspace.
Yeah, I think they both play a pivotal role. I have found that people who have come to me and they haven't done a lot of talk therapy, or they haven't done enough resourcing in themselves to feel safe in their body, kind of struggle with somatic healing. So it's like yin and yang, right? You need a little bit of both in order to do either or. But I do agree that once you've been on this journey long enough, the story starts to matter less, right? The story is beautiful. It's an important aspect. We need to acknowledge it. And there comes a point when the story just isn't taking you anywhere. It's actually kind of just something that's anchoring you in an old expression. And so it's really lovely to just shed that and allow the body to kind of release it for you, because your body knows how to get rid of it. It's like a shaking animal when it has a lot of fear, right? It just shakes it off real quick and it goes back to being like relaxed and playful. And then when there's alert, it gets tense and rigid, but it doesn't stay tense and rigid. It really like lets it go. And as humans, I feel like we really need to practice letting go of our resistance to life. And that, to me, that's what somatic healing is. It's all about releasing your resistance to life and allowing yourself to be more open to uncertainty, more open to love, and just spontaneity, how life wants to move through us and with us.
How about your story behind it, Kayla? Was it something like the first thing you've grasped and straight away you knew you want to do this work? Or what was your journey to get where you are now, and maybe how it helped you along the way? How did you connect with that work?
Yeah, no, it was not the first thing that I reached for. I grew up in a Mormon family, which is very, very LDS, very strict. I grew up in Utah, and there was a lot of, for me, body shaming and repression of my body in general as a woman, my sexuality, my sensuality, my voice, my expression. And I left the church and subsequently my family when I was 17 years old. And I kind of lived in a tent, and I traveled the States for about 2.5 years. And I learned a lot about, what people told me was real and what I was discovering was real about the world. And that led to a lot of cognitive dissonance for me. There were times I was deeply afraid of the world. And then there were times I couldn't even trust myself because I didn't know what was real for me. So I was actually very not embodied at all. And I really loved to understand my world around me. So I did a lot of studying. I did a lot of psychology and Jungian psychology and just diving into these books and trying to understand myself. I did yoga teacher trainings and, I was collecting all this knowledge up here so that I could understand my trauma, but I actually never felt it. I never felt it because I was just running for so long to the next thing, to the next place, to the next teacher training. And it wasn't until I actually became an exotic dancer for about 6 years that I came face to face with my body and what it meant to be in my body and not just in my mind. And it was simultaneously this beautiful expression of joy and sensuality and feeling, and at the same time completely terrifying because I was starting to feel things in my body that a previous life as a Mormon child felt evil and wrong and really shameful. So there was just a lot going on, and it took me a while to really soften those places in me that were scared to be in this body, that didn't feel safe to be in my vessel. And that to me is what somatic healing is all about, is creating the capacity for safety in your physical experience so that you can begin to trust yourself again, whatever circumstance you are in. And for me, I just didn't have a lot of that trust because I felt out of control of my body all the time. And somatics and dancing and yoga eventually helped me deepen my capacity to hold safety and to trust myself that I can take care of myself and I don't have to abandon myself to make others happy, to make me happy, but I can actually be safe in this body and listen to my body before the outside world. So it's been a little bit of a journey for me, but the somatics really, really came in during the dancing. It was really hard to ignore my body after that. Yeah.
Wow. Thank you so much. And it's such a, to me, it just speaks of your courage and your drive for authenticity, which is not an easy path in this particular incarnation of in our world. We're always being, as you say, shamed or pulled away or distracted from the essence of who we are, and to actually break away consciously at such a young age, and really follow your heart, your intuition, and have that trust and that desire to create safety for yourself is just so beautiful. And I'm just really celebrating that journey because it's so inspirational. Thank you. And then also, to be able to deliver the healing and the care for others from that space of real knowing on every level is, that's so profound. So it's magical. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah. I think for me, when I decided I wanted to be a somatic practitioner was shortly after all the yoga stuff. I got my yoga teacher trainings, and I never felt pulled to being a yoga teacher. I loved yoga. It helped me in many ways. But when I found dancing and the somatics and breath work and just intuitive movement, something came alive in me, and I had a crossroads in front of me where I had to leave dancing in order to pursue something that I could feel inside of me wanting to come forward. But dancing became something that was kind of my sacred safe space now, because it was my reclamation of my body, of my power, of my sensuality, of my femininity, which was very underground due to the way that I was brought up. So at that crossroads, there really was an awakening inside of me of like, okay, there's medicine that was delivered to me at the club and as a dancer, but not everyone needs to go there to learn these lessons, right? It's not a very loving place. It is kind of toxic, and I wouldn't, if someone showed up and they were like, hey, I want to be more in my body and I want to be like sexual and sensual, where should I go? Where should I begin? I wouldn't be like, you should go be a stripper. I think it's like, it's just like what you should go to. So I think there was a sacred call in me to distill what I learned there and offer it to people in a way that was way more safe and way more nourishing. So I think that's where the somatic stuff really got awoken in me. Yeah.
It's almost the quintessential heroine's journey, isn't it? You've taken that dive into the underworld to bring the pearls back so that you can share those, the essence of your wisdom and your journey, which is so beautiful.
Yeah.
Talking of the underworld, could we talk a little bit, because I know a big part of your work is shadow work, and could you speak into how that weaves into the whole picture, please, Kayla?
Yeah. There's a really important piece in the underworld and the unconscious. And in our culture, I feel like the drive for doing and becoming and persevering is really centered on like the external image of who we are. And we see it all the time in social media. We see it in these like podcasts that we do, which is lovely and beautiful and everything. But there's so much more behind the image that's being projected or presented. And when I went into dancing and other forms of shadow work healing, which I'll touch on later, I really came face to face with all the parts in me that were fragmented, that were isolated, that were lonely, that were distorted. I had a really distorted understanding of sexuality and pleasure and being in my body and expressing my power and using my voice. And so there's a lot that you meet in the underworld that looks scary initially, right? It's like, oh, I don't want to touch that. Oh, I don't want to even open that because there's a lot of pain there. There's a lot of fear there. But really, when you go into it and you feel it all, there's actually so much light available, and you're actually sourcing and reclaiming energy that you have lost in your life. And you're actually able to take this newfound energy and apply it to the creative projects in your world outside of like, let me take a step back. You're able to express it outwardly in a more creative and aligned way. Because when you are actually suppressing or denying or pushing away parts of yourself, even if you're doing it unconsciously, and we're all doing it all the time unconsciously, you're losing energy by doing that. And it's actually siphoning away more of your life force day by day, moment by moment. And you just don't have access to what you could have access to if you just went there and felt for a second and just gave love to these parts of you that have been shamed repressed, denied, hurt, betrayed, forgotten. Did that answer your question?
It certainly did. That was beautiful. Thank you.
Welcome.
And I always like to mention, because, you know, there's always fear and then layers to the fear. And I love that you mentioned that you're losing your energy. I like to say that we're always the most afraid of our own power, of our own light. And as you're diving in, and I love that you mentioned, you know, being the dancer and going through the, you know, your own shadows, but, you know, of the environment. And as you walk through that, you can guide others to walk through that, right? And it's only there's fear on a layer. I've even made that illustration for our book. Just recently published a book, and I made illustration, and so it's the picture, you know, of the person, and then there's like those demons inside, right? But inside there's peace, and inside there's light. So on the outside, it might seem as fear and as something, you know, we would never want to touch, would never want to connect. Once you do, there's that biggest power, the biggest light that lays there. And I feel like that's the message that comes through, and that's the path you've walked, and that's the path you've, you know, discovered. And it's always rediscovering more and more all the time. And especially with the fear, you know, and transitioning. Right, we had a massive 2024. I don't know how about you, Kayla. I know, Kirsty. Okay, we had a massive 2024, and then 2025. I don't even know where to begin. Okay, we're in February, and there's loads coming, and I wonder what's your view on what is coming. And diving into 2025, how do you feel that year? And you seem as an, I don't really like to use the word expert, but, you know, depending of how we feel the words, because, you know, using the words can have different meanings to every one of us, but as an expert of, you know, transitions and fear and shadows, how do you feel this year, maybe comparing to 2024? Or do you feel any insights, any, you know, main themes, or maybe what to expect in 2025? And how was it so far for you? And how do you feel like what is coming, you know, personally or across the globe? Do you have any intuitive feelings? Just give it all to us, Kayla. Give us hope.
Oh, there's hope all around us, and you guys are hopeful and light beings too. So like you guys are embodying joy and love too. But it's a hard time right now, you know, in the world. I know you guys don't live in the States, but what's going on here isn't just affecting the States, right? It's affecting the world. And that's just a big picture. So I know there's so much more going on. There's wars and there's internal stuff in all of our countries and even in our own lives. So it just feels like a lot. And I think a lot of us want to just ignore it or turn away from it or kind of get through it. And I really feel like the invitation is to slow down and to drop in and to like get wide and to hold it and to look at it all, even though you may not know what even you're looking at or what even to do. There's really nothing to do, is what I'm hearing right now. It's really, we're witnessing a purging. We're witnessing a death, an ending. And what I know in shadow work is death and endings are not isolated. They are also simultaneously beginnings. It's like a circle. And so there is hope in that, but you have to be willing to sit with the parts of self that are dying, the parts of self that are ready to be retired, the parts of self who said, I'm tired and I don't want to go on. And the parts of self that are dying and like they don't want to die and they're fighting to stay alive. You know, there's a lot going on in this world. So my invitation there is to just slow down and make space for yourself. What is your capacity? Maybe you can't take it all in right now, and that's okay, right? Maybe you can take it all in, and that's great. but like slowing down, tuning in every day. What do I have capacity for? But staying with the transition, like a midwife or someone delivering a baby, is like really important. It's how the world gets born. And so we can either rush through it and like C-section our way there, or we can really hold space for the way the baby and the mother. There's a lot of presence that can be here. And it doesn't all have to be serious. That's really what I'm hearing. It's like slow down, lighten up, feel your feelings, and like find joy in the small things, because those things will spark. I know for me, 2025 is feeling really slow. It was a really long winter. I feel like I died, metaphorically, over this last winter. And winter's not over. We haven't come into the spring equinox yet. And things are just still like very slow, right? Maybe there's some fun things that you're excited about and you've got your seeds and you're excited to like start your projects. I'm just hearing that it's not the time to plant that yet. Like we're still resting. We're still going slow. The sun will turn, but right now, like we're resting and we're receiving and we're dreaming. So just let yourself dream, let yourself be surprised, let yourself sit in the uncertainty, and don't be afraid when your fear or your anxiety and your depression or lethargy comes up. Really sit with it, honor it, because it's not going to stay. It's on its way out on very different levels. I feel there's a lot that's ready to come through in 2025, but we have to make the space, right? We have to empty out. And for me, winter was an emptying out. My whole life got leveled. I had all these plans. I was like, I'm going to publish my book. But I had all these plans. And I was like, starting January, and the Lunar New Year, I'm going to like do all these things. And none of that happened. It was just like, nope, not yet. And I was like, okay, I will just sit and I will be and I will listen.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And it's almost a paradox, isn't it? Because the more we try to rush and plant those seeds and rush through it, the more it's being pushed away because we don't make that space, isn't it? I absolutely love those paradoxes. So the more you have a feeling, whatever it is, the more we run away, we're actually delaying the process. I love that message. Absolutely love it. I feel very similar, just really tuning in, jumping on a wave when it comes, but when it's not, just waiting and waiting, kind of navigating more from the feminine, I'd say, because that's how feminine would work, more likely not structured and just, with the plan, but really tuning into the energy. Love that, Kayla.
Yeah, and just listening to the body and to the cycles. This is why lunar work is so important to me. It's a cycle that we can see every day in the sky. The seasons change, and we live on the earth that changes. So why wouldn't we also change? Why wouldn't we also need to hibernate like the bears? Why wouldn't we also, need to go underground and dig ourselves deep just to rest and renew? Summer's coming, your plants will be here. But for now, enjoy the deep slumber in the beautiful earth, because it's here to hold us.
Enjoy the deep slumber and the beautiful earth. Thank you. You're so wise. There's so much wisdom in your words, as Kate says. And, it's this system of, striving and leading from those toxic masculine energies. And again, I always have to say, we're not decrying men, but those structures that we've been living in for 2000 plus years, as they start to change and dissolve, and we co-create together a new way of living. You spoke into the lunar living, and I know that's a huge part of your life and your everyday practice, and that's something that you pass on and you share with others. So can you share more about this, what it means to you, why it's important for us as humanity and walking forward, and maybe a little bit about how we can tune into that, especially if we're in, you know, jobs that are perhaps 9 to 5 in the city, and you know, because that can be difficult. That can be difficult, as we all know. So yeah, there's a lot in there, but could you just speak into whatever feels aligned there about lunar living, please? Yeah.
Yeah. The great thing about the moon is that it is a celestial being in our sky that we can see every day. And whether you work a 9 to 5, whether you are someone like me who hosts moon ceremonies and just lives by the moon, or somewhere in between all of that, it's always up in the sky. It's always up there for you to just look at and tune into. You don't need to be an astrologer. You don't need to know where the moon is and what sign it's in. You don't need to even know the phases of the moon's names, right? You literally can just look up at the moon, take a breath, feel into your feet, and connect with what the moon is trying to tell you. That is like the foundational practice of connecting with the moon, right? Because everything else is mind. And as a somatic practitioner, I'm like, no, we're actually, the moon is alive and I am alive. The earth is alive. And so if I can just breathe with the moon, I can receive whatever wisdom is trying to be highlighted inside of me. So the moon represents our femininity. We as an individual hold both masculine and feminine energies within ourselves. So when we speak of feminine and masculine, we're not speaking of genders and individuals as separate things. We're actually speaking of ourselves. And the moon represents our internal language, how we connect with our heart, how we connect with the way that we express ourselves through symbols and metaphor and poetry and these like deeper cyclical ways of being, rather than how we direct our energy outward and forward in a more masculine way. So that would be my invitation, is just to start practicing seeing and looking and breathing with the moon. That is like the easiest way to tap into what she's trying to get you to feel inside of you. You will feel it. You will hear it. You will sense it. It will be something. And just to be open to that. Outside of that, the moon has always enamored me, probably because I spent a lot of time alone and I did look up at the moon all the time. And I was up late at night and I really loved her glow. I just always felt peaceful in her glow. And I didn't really know what that meant for a while. And as I started to study her cyclical 29 and a half days, every 29 and a half days, she is a new moon, she waxes to full, she wanes back into new. I started to understand my cycles and the way that I grow through life. I'm not always in a full moon expression, right? Sometimes you can't see me in the sky. It doesn't mean I'm not there. The moon is always there. She is whole, she is perfect. Whatever phase she is in, she's never not whole. And that is just the medicine of the moon. So it's a reminder that even in the winter of our lives, even in the shadow work of our lives or the light work of our lives, we are whole and we are complete. And if we give way to those cycles that are living within us and we don't push against it, the new cycle will arrive. We will be renewed life will be restored, endings will turn to beginnings, beginnings will turn to endings, and life goes on. And there's no need to be so just like tense about it all. You know, it really invites trust in the deeper cycles, your body, the seasons, the earth, the moon. You don't have to fight against life. That's what I've learned by working with the moon.
It's interesting with the moon because, you know, like at the beginning of the practice, you're like diving in, really exploring and reading and tarot and that and that and that. And I would always know when is the full moon, when it's the new moon and everything. And it's like working with any, you know, archangel or deity or a goddess, that at one point you kind of almost become one because you work with them so long. And I didn't check for so long, and it would just come to me, oh, I feel like doing a releasing ritual or something. I'm like, oh, it's full moon, and I didn't know. And it just becomes natural once you're tuning in energetically. You don't have to do, it's not like a strict practice, because sometimes I feel like people wouldn't even start doing practice or something because they feel overwhelmed by it. So really, as you say, and I love that approach. I love that because I can relate to that myself as well, that it just becomes one and the practice becomes natural. And I love your approach, Kayla, that, you know, it doesn't have to be, again, from a masculine perspective. I've met my friends the other day, and, you know, diving into her story and all, I never say anything straight to people. I'm just, you know, just asking little questions, and then they just get the answers themselves because they know the best anyway. It's like, oh, it's related to my father. I need to work on my father wound. I'm like, girl, you're doing that now. Like, just, you know, it's like something always in the future. Something has to be structured. Something has to, instead of just, okay, I feel it now. It doesn't have to have a form or, you know, or a thought form all around.
Yeah.
But just feeling it, it's already a lot. And then more and then more and more. Love that approach.
Yeah, I do too, because it takes the pressure off of needing to be fixed, needing to fix ourselves or work on ourselves. Like, we live in a world with all this self-help and all this like growing, and it's great. Hello, I've been guilty of that, like needing to work on myself endlessly. And like, it is an endless journey. Like, you will never get to the end. And once you see that, you have two options: stay on that treadmill or get off and see yourself as whole. And that is what the moon has taught me. And just because I'm whole doesn't mean I don't have things that I need to feel through, right? Every day I have things I need to feel through and I need to integrate and work on. But the best thing is, it comes in cycles, it comes in waves. And so when the moon is in, today's in Leo. So when the moon is in Leo, it's going to be there next month, you know, again, sometime. Whatever it's transitioning over in my life, I'm going to get a little bit of feeling and stuff to work with, but I don't have to tease it all apart and like rip it out by its root or something, you know? I can just be there with what is here. And then it comes around the next month and it's a different lensing, and I get to like gently remove that next thing instead of feeling like I have to like get it all done and do it now. Like, I can just release, witnessing, releasing, lots of efforting, no efforting. We just need to be with it. And from that being with it, we actually don't have to do anything about it. It just kind of floats on up. We are just messengers. We are just vessels. This body is just a vessel. And the more we hang on to things and the more we cling to things we need to work on or fix or do, the more we're shutting down that flow of energy. It's just here to move in and up and through and in and through. We need to get out of our own way. And that is what somatic work is all about, to me, and moon work. So they're all intricately woven together, and I love it. It will be a lifelong practice of mine for sure.
Thank you. Yeah, it's such poetry in all that you're talking into, and you know, it's I'm sure a lot of people listening will think, gosh, that's such a relief. Actually, because oh, don't we, intuitively, all of us, I'm sure everybody on the planet actually knows when you, as you say, when you start to feel into it, that, you know, it's safe to surrender into something greater than us, which we're being held by, and that's, you know, nature itself, because we're part of it. We're part of the whole cyclical flow, and yeah, being held in that unconditional loving energy that's always there is, yeah. So it's such a beautiful message. Thank you.
Yeah.
And things we touched upon, and Kate, this is Kate's and I's favorite question that we ask to all of our beautiful guests. You've touched upon earlier, Kayla, the importance of joy. Could you share with us and the listeners one or your most magical, joyous, maybe even angelic moments that have really sort of, you know, been pivotal in your life, that have played a transformative role, please? I'm sure you have many, but
Yeah, I do have many, and um, they are all rooted in a common thread, which is being in my body and not overthinking being in my body. So not doing a yoga sequence or going to the gym and having like a routine, but like when I'm like out in nature and I'm walking and I forget myself. I forget that I'm Kayla walking through the forest or climbing a mountain or listening to the waterfall. It's these like really profound, still moments that offer me the greatest joy in my life. Makes me feel the most free and open in my body. And it's very simple. I love just being in nature and listening to the waterfalls or climbing mountains and feeling my heart rate and the sweat drip down my body and just feeling all this like aliveness without any story, any connection, any attachment to who I am in this world, who I am as an individual. All of that starts to disappear, and I'm a living thing amongst other living things. And it sounds so simple and so easy, but I don't think it's very prevalent in our world. And so when those moments find me, I'm in like complete ecstasy. There's just bliss and love. And I want more of that in my life. And I seek to find that. So
I love ecstasy. And we had a previous guest and she's like cosmic ecstasy. I love how this goes. And I have to say, during our conversation, this is my live record of how many times I yawned. Okay, so you're doing amazing. We're just talking, Kayla. And except apart from just talking with you and listening to you, to get these wonderful sensations that I can already sense, my nervous system is an absolute heaven, which I really needed after all day today. Is there any offerings that you have right now, or how can people get in touch with you? What are the goodies? How do you work? What do you offer? How can we get a hold on you and experience more of that?
yeah, my website is the best place to go. It's where my email is and everything. It's called thelunarpath.com. So once again, everything is centered in moon work and body work. But I have an array of offerings. I do online moon ceremonies every new and full moon. So it doesn't matter where you are in the world. You can jump in, tune in, and we can be in ceremony together. I also do one-on-one moon journeys. So I take you personally through your body, your shadows, your stories, your landscapes in either just 1 month or 1 moon, 3 moons, or an entire year of moons, depending on how deep you want to go. And I also do sensuality flow shops, which is all about awakening the vitality of your body. Still one-on-one. This is online or in person. And then I do like energetic healing sessions for somatic release. So all of that is on my website. I love it all. And whatever you go, wherever you go, however you choose to work with me or however you choose to work with the moon, just know that like it's your body that's doing the work. It's not me. It's not you. It's your spirit. It's your body. And I'm just here to like help you widen so that you can be with your wisdom. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Well, we'll be sure to put your website, which is beautiful, by the way. It's such a gorgeous website. And all your offerings. You're such a light. You really are. And, you know, just to be in your presence, as Kate says, it's such a balm. So thank you.
Oh, one more thing. I am doing a lunar container called Lunar Living that starts at the end of March. This is a live lunar container. It's a group container, and I'm collaborating with a holistic nutritionist. So we are blending my world of shadow work and ceremony with the real physical world of nutrition, cycle syncing, eating for your hormones. And it does not matter if you are, you know, currently menstruating, not menstruating, have never menstruated, whatever phase in your cycle you are at, it is for you. So we are starting that at the end of March, and I will also leave a link for that down below if you guys are interested in sharing.
Well, you will be. What a beautiful blend. That sounds truly magical. Thank you. We're definitely sharing. Good luck with that. Sounds beautiful.
We'll definitely have a look at that. Sounds like a perfect blend, you know, different approaches. And so much wisdom, so much goodies, and so much release today from our conversation. Thank you so much, Kayla, for today, and Kirsty for bringing Kayla into our world. Thank you so much. And as you said, you're a light, and really like that, you know, when you look at the moon and you can feel it on your cheeks, the light. That's how I felt throughout our conversation.
Yes.
Absolutely love. Do you know the feeling? Absolutely love that feeling. It's like nothing else. So that's how I felt. That's how I feel so relaxed. Thank you, Kayla. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me here. It was a joy to share and speak to what is, you know, my passion.
Thank you, love.
Happy full moon, everyone.
Happy full moon.
Full moon in Leo. I actually have a transmission from Leo. If you want to end a little Leo transmission.
Yes.
That would be amazing, please.
Okay, so I just invite you to close your eyes and listen, not with your mind and not with what you know of Leo, if anything, and just receive in your heart what is here for you. I am in the sky, watching, guiding, loving you always. As a full moon expressed in Leo, I am bold, awake, purring with devotion. I seek to come alive in your hearts, to invigorate your creativity, your life force, and energy in the warmth of a burning communal fire. Gather and sing. Be joyful and play like lion cubs. Be alive in your skin. Feel your warm-bloodedness. Give way to the primal natures living within. Embrace your vitality, your sensuality, and courage. Do not shy away from being seen. Roar in and with love. Your voice is your tool for play and expression. Pounce, play, roll, roar. Let the animal of your heart and body come alive within. I am Leo. I am the expression of your wholeness. I am as loving and playful as a cub, and I am the steady sovereignty of your soul. I am a full Leo moon, and I am asking you to play, to express, to be joyful in your body, to play and walk with your tribe, to connect in playful ways. I am your capacity to celebrate in joy, in love, in devotion. Can you lighten up, get buoyant in your joints, and play like a lion cub?
Thank you, my love.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. And thank you, everybody for listening. I hope you've received as much beauty as Kate and I have from Kayla. Until next time.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.